When I was 20, I thought time was endless. Summer vacations stretched like an eternity. Birthdays were exciting mile markers on a road that seemed to have no end in sight. 40, 50, 60, those numbers belonged to my parents. To gray-haired strangers I passed in the grocery store. To other people, certainly not to me. I was invincible, untouchable, with decades of cushion between myself and the finish line. The days felt long, the nights even longer, filled with conversations that lasted until dawn, and mornings that felt like they would never arrive. Time was a vast, unhurried landscape I was free to wander across, a bottomless well from which I could drink at my leisure. But here I am, 50 years old, and time has changed its shape. These days, a year feels like a season, and a season feels like a month. I blink and another Christmas has come and gone. Another candle has been added to the cake. Another wrinkle has taken up residence on my forehead. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does change the way I see the days ahead. The quiet urgency of a life in its second half is a powerful motivator. There's a theory I once read about why time seems to accelerate as we age. When you're 5, a year is 1/5 of your entire life, a colossal percentage. At 50, a year is 1/50th, a tiny fraction. Of course it feels like it flies by. But beyond math, there's the monotony. When you're young, almost everything is new. First bike ride, first crush, first heartbreak, first job. The brain records those vivid moments in high definition. Stretching time out, I remember the dizzying, gut-wrenching feeling of my first heartbreak like it was yesterday. A moment so raw it felt like it went on forever. Each tear and whispered goodbye etched into my memory. It was an event, a milestone, something my brain filed away in a special, detailed cabinet. By middle age, much of life becomes routine. Wake up, commute, work, dinner, sleep. The brain doesn't bother to etch every repetition into memory, so the years collapse into a blur. We're on autopilot. The days blend into a single, long gray line. That's why the first grade seemed to last forever. But your 40s can vanish in what feels like a few short weeks. A single, indistinct memory. You look back and wonder where all that time went. And the answer is that you weren't paying attention. You were just living it. My father's sudden passing in my late 30s was my first serious confrontation with mortality. A heart attack took him before I could even get to the hospital. One minute he was watching television in his favorite chair. The next he was gone. I remember getting the call. The frantic, panicked words on the other end of the line. The drive to the hospital was a blur of flashing red lights and a pounding heart. But it was in his quiet living room a few days later that it truly sank in. I remember standing there, staring at that empty chair. The remote control still on the armrest where he had left it. It hit me with a force I couldn't ignore. One day, someone will sit in my house, in front of my empty chair, thinking these same thoughts about me. It wasn't a morbid thought. It was clarifying. For the first time, I understood in my bones that life has a finish line. My father didn't know when his would come. I won't know when mine will come. But the certainty of its existence changed how I thought about everything. If time is finite, then I should spend it deliberately, not chasing every shiny distraction, but choosing what really matters. I stopped asking myself, what do I want to be when I grow up? And started asking, who do I want to be today? The trouble is, I've always been a planner. My natural state is 3 steps ahead, sketching out the next project, the next vacation, the next big idea. For decades, my happiness lived in the someday file. Someday when I get the promotion. Someday when I buy the house. Someday when I finally have enough money to relax. But someday is a moving target. I'd reach it, enjoy a flicker of satisfaction, and then it would vanish as I set my sights on the next milestone. Learning to be present wasn't automatic. It required deliberate practice. Now, I build in small rituals that force me to slow down. I sit on the porch in the morning with my coffee and no phone. The birds are my soundtrack, and I watch the way the morning light filters through the leaves of the oak tree. The coffee is just coffee, not fuel for a long day. I take long walks without headphones, just listening to the rhythm of my feet and the hum of the world. One day, I noticed the way the sun was hitting the leaves of a maple tree, making them glow a deep amber color I'd never truly seen before. It was a simple, beautiful thing I had been missing for years. I also write down one good thing that happened each day. Some days it's grand, like my daughter graduating. Other days it's as small as the smell of rain after a hot afternoon. But even the smallest moments stretch time when you pay attention to them. They become memories you can hold on to, not just a blur of passing days. When time is limited, every yes is also a no. If I say yes to another late night at the office, I'm saying no to dinner with my family. If I say yes to scrolling for an hour, I'm saying no to rest, to reading, to conversation. In my 40s, I began treating time like money. Would I spend my paycheck on something worthless? Then why spend my hours that way? This shift in thinking made me ruthless about cutting out what didn't matter, not out of coldness, but out of respect for the finite hours I've been given. I remember once agreeing to a last-minute business trip that would take me away for a week. The project wasn't even that important, but I said yes because I didn't want to look like a slacker. That same week, my son, who was 10 at the time, had the lead role in his school play. I told myself there would be other plays, that this one deadline was urgent. But when I came home and saw the poster he had made for the play still hanging on the refrigerator, and the look of quiet disappointment on his face when I asked how it went, I realized there aren't plenty of others. There is only this one, and then it's gone. I can never get that night back. My son will have other plays, but I can never replace that one. Here's the truth we'd rather not face. Every one of us is on a countdown. Every birthday is both a celebration and a reminder that our supply of them is running out. Strangely, this realization hasn't made me fearful. It's made me bolder. I once met a man at a conference who kept a jar of marbles on his desk. One marble for every week he expected to live, based on life expectancy charts. Each Saturday, he removed one marble. The jar was half empty, but he seemed full of a quiet joy. He told me, watching the jar slowly empty gave me urgency. I stopped postponing trips, stopped neglecting family dinners, and started choosing deliberately. I don't have a marble jar, but I carry that image in my mind. It reminds me that every someday eventually runs out. We tell ourselves we'll do things when we have more time. But time isn't a currency we can save up. It's a river, and we're standing in it. The water that passes by will never return. I haven't always gotten it right. I've had years where I drowned in work, convinced that just one more project would set me free. There were birthdays I missed, phone calls I ignored, friends I neglected. The regret of missing my son's play is one that still sits with me. I've apologized for that moment more than once, and while I can't undo it, I've used it as fuel. It reminds me that most of the things we think are urgent aren't, and most of the things we postpone are the ones that truly matter. I made a promise to myself that day. I would never again let an email or a deadline prevent me from being present for the people I love. It's a promise I've had to work hard to keep, but it's the one that has brought me the most peace. At 50, I think often about legacy, not in the grand sense of having my name in history books. I don't care about statues or headlines. I care about whether my kids will have good stories to tell about me, whether my friends will remember me as someone who showed up, whether my community will be better because I was part of it. Legacy, I've realized, isn't built in big moments. It's built in the small, daily choices. Choosing kindness over cleverness, choosing generosity over competition, choosing presence over distraction. Those choices ripple outward. They will outlive me in ways I'll never see. I may not have a plaque with my name on it, But if my kids tell their kids, my dad was always there for us, that is a legacy worth more than any monument. Time is both the most ordinary and most precious thing we have. We all get 24 hours a day, yet the way we spend them defines who we become. The clock doesn't stop, but it does speak. It says, "Don't waste me. Pay attention. Live now." So my advice, from one middle-aged wanderer to anyone willing to listen, is this: stop waiting. Stop postponing the call, the trip, the apology, the dream. Start living as though your marble jar is already half empty, because it is. Make sure, when the day comes that your chair sits empty, you've left behind more than regrets. Leave stories, leave laughter, leave love, and above all, leave proof that you truly lived while you had the chance.